I do electrical work for a living. I do some residential, some television, film, commercial work, and a very small amount of solar electric work. I think coal is a technology that really needs to be on its way out, period. There is no such thing as clean coal right now. So while I think we need to be thinking 50 years out, I think counting on being able to use coal for 50 years, and frankly, the idea that someone would finance a coal-fired power plant and just hope that somehow in the future we get some sort of clean coal technology that would work, which we don't currently have, is crazy, frankly. I mean, if I were an investment bank, I wouldn't invest in it. It just seems like profoundly lacking in common sense. We're signing up for something, to build something that by the time it's built might be so expensive to run because of whatever carbon tax or cap and trade, whatever we end up with is going to make it much more expensive to run now than it would be planning it without these various things under discussion. So I feel like that just compounds the problem that we as taxpayers are investing in something that we really shouldn't be using, much less trying to build from scratch. I think we don't yet fully know or understand the financial, health, and other costs of the air pollution, the water pollution, the soil pollution, frankly, that comes from burning coal. And if we had to figure those costs into what it really costs to burn coal, never mind to build another power plant that burns coal, it wouldn't seem like the cheapest option, because I mean, every study shows that asthma rates are increasing. We know that coal-fired power plants are a major source of mercury pollution in the air, the soil, and the water. Same way with lead. I mean, when we think about those costs, we don't tack those on to what we think it costs to burn coal for electricity. But those really are costs that are associated with burning coal for electricity. What I understood about where the plant was going to be located was that it's in a relatively economically depressed region that already has quite a bit of pollution from existing coal mining and coal power plant operations. And very possibly the worst thing we could do if we were going to build a new coal-fired power plant is to locate it in a place that's already suffering from both the pollution from existing facilities and also sort of the economic depression that has hit a lot of the Midwest. Because I live in Cleveland, it couldn't fail to escape my attention that this coal plant is far away from us. And I think that's a clue that maybe it's something that we shouldn't be counting on for 50 years. It's something that is dirty enough that we don't want it near us. These technologies that we have to put very far away from the place where the electricity needs to be used ultimately are not going to be as efficient because of the infrastructure costs to get the power from where it's produced to where it's consumed. When we produce power very far away from us, we have to ask both why we are doing it very far away from where it's going to be used and whether that really is the most efficient way of powering our cities. Especially since I'm someone who does electrical work for a living, I can't dismiss the significance of the construction and electrical jobs that would be created by building a power plant anywhere. However, I really think it's short-term thinking to believe that these jobs are going to save the area. I think we need to think longer term about the kind of power production that not only creates jobs for the electricians who are working now, but for those who are just now in training and who could possibly be part of the solution.
We have alternatives that don't require the amount of infrastructure upgrade that building a new power plant does, but that can still produce both jobs and electricity. And that's critical. I mean, we could keep every IBEW electrician in the city of Cleveland working for 10 years, plus training new people to put solar in the places where people use it, namely in the cities, on top of houses and buildings. And we would have both the jobs and the electricity. I mean, it's always going to be a both and. We're going to need multiple sources for electricity because coal is huge, and that's what we've been running on for a very long time. But we can spread jobs all over the country, produce electricity all over the country without the horrible emissions. And that seems to me like a much more fiscally responsible as well as economically beneficial way of producing power.
If you've got a roof, you can put solar panels on it. Whereas we're running out of places that we can pollute so desperately, which is what it takes to build a coal-fired power plant. If we build a coal-fired power plant, we're probably not going to learn that much. I mean, yes, there are people working towards clean coal, but it's never going to be the groundbreaking thing that renewables can be. And those are potentially the jobs for the next 50 years, not, the very term of this thing that some people are trying to build. I mean, the new jobs are not going to come from making coal cleaner. They're going to come from not using coal to make our electricity, but using something else, and lots of something else's, because it's not going to be one thing, it's going to be several. And ultimately, those are where the new jobs are coming from, not from building a coal-fired power plant.